This is Faith.
And this is Addie.
And you're listening to Mama Bear Connects. Hey Addie, how are you today?
Good, how are you?
I am so super duper. So Addie and I are going to try something new with our podcast. We are going to say something that was uplifting that happened for the past week. So Addie, what was something that was uplifting for you this past week?
Probably going to school and getting to see all my friends and giving them hugs in the hallway and just high fives, complimenting each other. The teachers are really nice, and so it was nice to see them and have them welcome me into their classroom every day. And I got to spend a day with Tyson, not a day, but
sometime.
Yeah. And so that was really nice. What about
Awesome. My uplift for the week, I would say yesterday I went and spent some time with one of my other mothers and her family. She is not doing very well with her health, and so getting time to go and reminisce with them and see them and remember all of the great memories we have with her was really great. And it reminded me how much I love that family, and so that was good.
That's good. I'm glad you got to go.
Yes, me too. So this week we are going to kind of piggyback off of our boundaries episode and kind of add to it. So this one is going to be on manipulation. So this is something that there's so many different pieces to manipulation, what it is, how it happens, and ways to help protect yourself from manipulation. So Addie, what is something at school that you would see maybe as a manipulative situation, whether it be like something you've seen with other friends or something you've experienced?
Definitely manipulation in friendships. So let's say someone isn't wanting to be in that friend group anymore, and then one of the kids from that group is like, well, if you aren't in it, then I'm not going to be your friend anymore. And then they manipulate them into being in that friend group that they aren't comfortable in, and it never ends well.
Yeah, that's a great example. So I am going to post all of our resources along with the podcast so that you guys can go and read the full article if you want. A lot of the information that I got for this part of it is from time.com. So with manipulation, there's a few different areas that you will start to feel within yourself that you'll start to kind of question. So the first one is you'll feel fear, obligation, and guilt. And Sherry Steins is who I'm quoting for majority of this stuff. If it's not her, then I will quote who it is. But she says manipulation is an emotionally unhealthy psychological strategy used by people who are incapable of asking for what they want and need in a direct way. So in life, a lot of times if people don't really grow up with good communication in their families, in their homes, they don't know how to be direct and communicate in a good, clear way, which can turn into a manipulative way of communication. As I was doing research on this, I realized that there's a lot of manipulative tendencies that I have, and you'll start to see what I mean as we're going through. You'll probably start to oh. And so it's good for me because it helps me be more self-aware and gives me an opportunity to learn and grow and better myself in those areas. So people who are trying to manipulate others are trying to control others. there's different types of manipulators. The first being a bully. The bully uses aggression, threats, and intimidation, which I think majority of us have come in contact with at one point in time. If you haven't been bullied in your life, that's incredible, and I can't even believe it. There were a lot of times that I was bullied for where I lived, for my religion choice or lack thereof, my parents and their choices, my sister and her choices. So there was a lot of things that I got bullied for that it wasn't even my choice or my fault, but definitely there was a lot of threats, intimidation. I punched a kid in the back of the head one time because he was picking on me because of my sister, and then he started talking bad about her, and so I chased after him and punched him in the back of the head. So I didn't let that intimidation and that bully. I mean, this kid was probably 5'6", 5'7" at the time, probably 200 pounds. He was a big kid, and I was only 5'2" and 110 pounds. So I didn't let that type of manipulation get to me then. Addie, do you have any circumstance with the bully type of manipulator that you have experienced?
Yes, in my younger grades at school. For those of you listening who don't know, that we are not part of the LDS church, and we really were so accepting of everything, and it was hard because once I left that church, there were some kids in my class who knew the bishop pretty well and heard about our records being taken out, and then I started getting bullied at school for not going to church and just different stuff like that. It was hard because I had a lot of friends, but once I found that out, it went downhill from there, and it was hard because I was sad to leave the church because I had just been baptized, and yeah, so losing a lot of friends from that felt unfair, and it was unfair because it's just
manipulation.
Yeah, and it's a choice that we made
as a family.
Yeah, and the fact that there was harassment for it wasn't good and very sad because it was in 3rd grade.
Yeah, that's really sad.
Yeah.
And there were also a lot of circumstances too, like kids would call Addie names, they would poke her, they would prod her, they'd dump water on her.
Chocolate milk.
I had an instance in junior high where I had a friend who was mad at me, and so she had her boyfriend dump and all of his friends Mountain Dew all over me in the middle of a big school-wide function. That was so incredibly embarrassing and devastating. So yeah, for sure, manipulation with bullies is ridiculous and really hard to cope with sometimes. And then our son has also lived majority of his life with bullies, and he had a lot of physical attacks from bullies, and starting as early as preschool. Some 6th grader had him in the bathroom and kicked him in the stomach, and that was when he was 4 years old. And it just kind of snowballed from there. He had kids pants him in front of everybody, whip him with pool sticks, call him names, punch him. So he has experienced a lot of very aggressive manipulation in his life from bullies and things like that. So know that it's not okay. And if you're being exposed to situations like that, whether you're a child or an adult, it's not okay. Manipulation is a dangerous thing, and it plays a lot of damage to your heart and your mind. So the next type is a victim manipulator. The victim manipulator acts hurt when in reality they are the ones who caused that caused the problem. So that is one thing that I work on myself, trying to avoid the victim manipulation, because that is one thing that I know that I have a problem with personally. And so I am trying really hard not to allow that into my space anymore. Do you have any situations that you have had anyone manipulate you?
Yes, I have, but it's mainly just been in friend groups. And it was hard because it made me feel like a bad person, and usually it wasn't even my doing that was causing the whole situation. It was just them manipulating me into making me think that I was mean or careless or something like that.
Yeah, and that it doesn't feel good, and it's not fair for anybody to live in that space, whether it's the bully, intimidation, manipulator, or the victim manipulator. It's hurtful in its own way. The next thing that is like a main point is you start to question yourself. There is a term called gaslighting. It's like somebody telling you that the sky is green over and over and over again. At first, you'll not agree with them because they're wrong, right? But over time, the person that's manipulating you into trying to make you believe this will start getting you to start saying, I guess I can't really see what color the sky is. You just start having a sense of unreality, which is really sad because I know that happens a lot where if you're in a situation where you have like an alcoholic in your family or somebody who is addicted to something, that's kind of a go-to manipulation, and that gaslighting is just a way for them to control the situation. If you talk to them and say, hey, I am worried about your health, or I've noticed you've been drinking a lot, or whatever. And if they kind of turn it like, well, what you've been drinking, so you probably think that I drink more than I do, or something like that. And they try to turn it so that you are the one in the wrong, and they just kind of build from there, and really start to make you question your ability to reason and be logical. So you eventually start to wonder why you were off that day or why you were wrong. You start questioning your judgment, and you won't trust your judgment anymore. You'll start to question yourself on everything that you do, whether it's right or wrong. If you're holding the door open for somebody and they walk past you without telling you thank you, you'll start to question, was that the right thing for me to do? Or if they do tell you thank you, you'll still question yourself, which is not a healthy thing. Your constant confidence depleting the constant confidence depleting nature of gaslighting can contribute to increased anxiety in the victim's overall life. And many gaslighting victims berate themselves and feel they need to apologize for everything. And that is from Dr. Saltz. And again, this was from thetime.com. So what's sad about that is I have a friend that she was in a bad relationship, and her partner would get upset with her for sneezing. And so every time she sneezes, she apologized for it. And so it just makes me sad because that, as I was reading this, I realized that she was very much in a state of gaslighting with this person, and it's just very sad that this type of manipulation just really depletes the way that you feel about yourself. Do you, Addie, have anything that you could recognize either in your friends' friendships or relationships that could be considered a gaslighting manipulation?
Asking for help. A lot of my friends apologize for asking for help. And I'm just like, that's a natural human thing.
Mm-hmm.
Come to me if you need help and don't apologize for it because it's okay. That's what I'm here for. Like, that's what friends are for.
Mm-hmm.
Or like asking for help for homework. They're like, I'm so sorry. It's really not a big deal. I can help you sometimes. Sometimes I can't because I don't understand it. But yeah, most of the time it's asking for help, for needing someone to be there for them. They apologize for, which is very sad.
Yes. Yep. The next thing is strings attached. Mr. Nice Guy does nice things, but then will make you feel bad if you don't do something in return. You are made to feel guilty for being ungrateful. So, circumstance of that would be, say, Mr. Nice Guy buys you a ticket to a concert, but then when you go and he, say, wants you to like
pay for a snack
or buy merchandise or something like that, and you don't want to or you can't, they'll flip it. Well, I bought you that ticket. Like, how can you not buy me that?
Mm-hmm.
So that is a form of manipulation. And all of these things we're sharing with you so that you guys can kind of understand what manipulation looks like. It's so important to see and do your own research. If you feel like you're in a situation where you could be manipulated, or maybe you're the manipulator and you haven't realized it, take time to go and follow these links to the different areas that I found this research so that you can educate yourself more and help yourself grow in this area. So there is a National Domestic Violence Hotline, and we will share that on our social media. So I will go on there and put it on there for everybody if you feel like that's something that you need support with. For sure, utilize this National Domestic Violence Hotline so that you can get the support that you need in this area. And we will be right back after a word for our sponsor. This is Faith.
And this is Addie
from Mama Bear Connects. And we are so excited to share with you guys about Anchor.fm. This is the podcast portal that we've decided to use because of the awesome, amazing features that it has. Addie, take it away.
Anchor is the easiest way to make a podcast. It is so simple and so fun to use. And they have multiple editing features to use that can make your podcast sound clean and professional.
They'll also distribute your podcast for you so you can be heard everywhere. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and so much more. So if you're interested in making your own podcast, but you're not sure where to start, we highly suggest that you go to Anchor.fm or
download the Anchor app
to get started.
Mm-hmm.
Have a great day, you guys.
Bye.
See ya. All right. We just have a few more types of manipulators that we want to talk about, and then we're going to go into different ways to kind of cope and prepare yourself for situations that could be like this. So it's called the foot in the door. The person starts with a small request like, do you have the time? So they want you to come over or come hang out or do something. But then it turns into, can I borrow money? Or can you help me pay for my son's birthday party? Or things like that. Or I don't have money for an Uber or whatever. So those people are called foot in the door. So they are trying to manipulate you by starting out small, but then they start asking for bigger things. And if you're not being aware of that manipulation, then it can easily snowball into something where they now have that control and they'll be able to start manipulating you into bigger and bigger things.
Mm-hmm.
So the next one is door in the face. That's when the person asks for a big favor, but when they're denied, they start to backtrack and ask for a small request. So it's the opposite of the front or foot in the door manipulator. So they start out big, but then if they are denied, then they'll start pedaling backwards until they can get what they want. So it's sad because we see that type of manipulation all around, whether it's at work or in different relationships, friends, family, things like that. It's really sad to watch that. Steins, who I was quoting earlier, says to try to use the motto, observe, don't absorb. My favorite thing to say right now is be like Teflon on a pan, let it slide off. So instead of letting things really stick to you, you just try to, I'm a very visual person. So envisioning that I am a nonstick pan to let things just slide off has been really helpful for me. Or if you don't want to be a pan, you could be like
a pot.
A pot. Or you could be ice or something else that's slidey. So if you need help with that, trying to let things slide off of you, try visualization. Protect yourself if you know that you're going into a situation where there's a manipulator present or around in the area. Try to protect yourself with some sort of visualization, whether it's Teflon or a golden bubble around you or sparkle dust, all kinds of things. I love to visualize protection around me. So that is one piece of advice that I can share with you guys. Addie, is there anything that you do to protect yourself?
I really just think I convince myself, like, can you give me a situation?
How about when let's say I said, hey, let's go get ice cream, but then we go get ice cream and then I say, oh crap, I don't have any money. Can you get this?
Well, I usually do. Like at the movies yesterday when Dad forgot his wallet, I paid for it. I don't know. Crap, that's...
How would you let that, like...
If it were a friend. I'd probably still... But if I didn't have money...
But what if it was all the time?
Oh, all the time.
Yeah. Like, say this person all the time and you did it the first time and then they know that they can have you do it all the time. So then they're always inviting you to do things, but then they never pay for it. Will you start to learn, oh, wait, they're just using me for my money or something like that?
I just use past experiences, keep them handy. Then if they were to do that, I'd be like, maybe we could go do something else. Or, okay, then let's go back and get it.
Yeah. Let's go to the park where it's free.
Yeah, let's go on a walk. Let's go to the mountains. I don't know.
Yeah. And you don't let it like soak into you because like there's nothing wrong with you because you're saying no. So that's kind of an example of not absorbing it. If you say no and you set your boundaries, then that's okay.
Yeah, saying no is okay. Because if you say yes too much, then that's an issue.
Mm-hmm. So there is a use that you can do that has healthy boundaries. One thing being communicate where you stand and show that you won't budge past your set boundaries. So if you have somebody in that type of situation that you know is going to say, hey, let's go out and do this. And then once you get there, you know that they're going to, before you even go, you can say, okay, but I'm going to pay for myself or something. So you set that very clear boundary. And then if when you get there, they say, oh man, I forgot my wallet again. Oh, that's so crazy. You're like, oh, well, sorry, I'm going to go watch the movie myself. Like, don't budge from your boundary because then they start to realize, oh, they're not giving in to me anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So be sure to always communicate where you stand. That is like the biggest thing. And that's one thing you guys probably hear us say all the time and talk about all the time. Communication is key to everything in a relationship. You cannot expect people to read your minds. And other than me.
You can read my mind.
Always. However, like, yeah. Honor yourself and respect yourself enough to set those boundaries and stand firm next to them, and don't let people push you past where you say, I am setting this boundary. If you're in a situation where you have like a spouse or a partner or an ex-spouse, ex-partner that is using something against you, do the same thing. Communicate these boundaries and say, I know that I have allowed you to push me past this point, but I can't do that anymore for myself. So here's my boundary and I'm not going past that. That's it. And whether it's for child support or time with a child, if you share a child or things like that, like, be clear with what your expectations are and where your boundaries are. That way there is no question. And once you start standing firm, then you'll start building confidence in yourself, as well as setting that clear boundary so they know they can't go past that anymore. Another way to have a healthy boundary is to delay your reaction or response. If you feel that you're being manipulated, try sleeping on it first and then respond. It's kind of like if you're going to buy like a big purchase or something, try to sleep on it before you dive in and buy it. Try to take some time to really think about, do I need this? Is this something I want? Something I want. That kind of stuff. So same with this. If you have somebody that's telling you you are lazy or you aren't capable of anything or what have you, really sleep on it. Try to decide, like, is what they're saying to you correct? And more than likely, yeah, it's probably not correct. So really don't allow, and it goes back to being Teflon from a pan, like, let stuff like that slide off of you, but really, like, think about it. If they're like, well, I can't believe that you're not paying for this for me. That is so rude. You are such a rude person. Am I really a rude person?
Mm-mm.
No, I'm just setting a boundary and you don't like that boundary. So be really aware of that and try to delay your reaction, your response, because that's what manipulators are looking for. They want a reaction. They want a response. That's one thing. My previous story, punching the kid in the back of his head, like, I'm sure that wasn't the response he was expecting or wanting, but he got a response. And so So make sure that you're aware of how you're reacting so that you can react appropriately to the situation. So defining your boundaries is so important. There are 3 things in the research that I did. Of course, there's probably tons more out there. This one I found on HOTLINE.com about defining your boundaries. The first one being ask, what are your rights? Second, follow your gut. And third, determine your values. So some examples of your rights: you have the right to say no without feeling guilty. You have the right to be treated with respect. You have the right to make your needs important. You have the right of accepting your personal mistakes and being okay with them. We're human. Give yourself compassion. Love yourself enough to be okay with the fact that we make mistakes sometimes. And don't allow people to say that their mistakes is your fault, because it is definitely not your fault if somebody else is making bad choices. You have the right to not meet like an unreasonable expectation of who you are. So if you know you aren't capable of walking a 10-mile hike up a mountain and you're being told you have to do this, that is an unreasonable expectation of you. So you have the right to say, no, I cannot do this. Physically, mentally, whatever, I can't do it. So you have the right to do that. You have the right to set your boundaries. And the next one is the gut check. How do you feel about a situation? We had a friend, in quotes, that all of a sudden out of nowhere came into our lives when my husband was getting into tattooing. And he was a manipulator in the very finest of forms. Mm-hmm. And Addie was, how old? Like 7?
7?
Because we were at the condo. Yeah. So you were like 7 or 8, I think, when this happened. But he just wiggled his way, and Addie just kept saying, I don't have a good feeling about this guy. And I didn't either, but I kept shoving it off because he was a friend. I hadn't had problems with him before in the past. So
I'm actually kind of concerned now that he somehow like knew so much about this.
Yeah.
Ooh, we had a stalker.
Yeah. So how do you feel? That is your first gut check. If something in your body is telling you that it's not okay, your intuition is giving you your warning signal. Whether that's in a situation where you're with a friend or with a family member or your boyfriend or your girlfriend, your body and your mind is made to help you know when something feels wrong. Mm-hmm. So listen to your gut. Don't question your judgment. Don't question the way you feel, because 99.9% of the time, your intuition is very real and very correct.
Yes.
Pay attention to your physical or emotional signs telling you to set boundaries. Again, listen to your intuition. Your soul knows when something is not okay. And if you start to be more aware of those feelings in your body, then you will start to understand where your boundaries should be set. If you, like Addie in our previous episode where she went to that party and there was really uncomfortable things happening, she had to make that decision to be like, nope, I am not okay with this. My body doesn't feel good with this. My heart doesn't feel good with this. My soul doesn't feel good with this. It is so important to listen to your gut and know that it is okay to run with your intuition and allow your intuition to help guide you in situations. Even if it's something as simple as you walk into a grocery store and somebody passes you and you get a funky vibe, listen to your gut, because chances are the person either has bad intention or has had a bad intention somewhere else. Your body will know when you have a bad feeling. So just be really aware of that. That's one thing that I've gotten really good with my intuition, is feeling when energy shifts and when it's not right. That's one thing Addie has a hard time with sometimes, with other people's energy.
Oh, yeah.
At school, sometimes if she's feeling low and her shield's kind of down, she'll start to feel everybody's energy, and it will start to feel a little overwhelming sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So be very aware of how you feel internally to allow yourself to set boundaries. The third thing is value. You need to determine your values. Identify 10 important values in your life. If it's your children, if it's your health, is it your wellness, whatever it is, write these 10 things down and then narrow your list down to 3 to 5 things. Reflect on those things and how or who tries to push these values. This will help you with recognizing, setting healthy boundaries and where you need to set them. So, for example, like for me, one of my important values is my family, clearly. And so if somebody is trying to push me outside of that boundary of the protection of my family or friends, I have to nip it real quick, because I can't waver on my boundary with my family. Fitness is another one that I am working on that should be at the very top of the list, right below family, that I need to set clear boundaries with myself so that I can be able to take that time for myself and set that boundary. And yeah. So Addie, with what we've talked about, is there any advice that you have for your friends that are listening, or other kids that might be listening, or even adults that might be listening, for experience that you have in your life that will help them to be able to be stronger in their life with keeping strong against manipulators?
Recognize the signs of manipulation and trust yourself, your intuition, how you feel about everything, and just be very clear with what you want, and don't be mean about it. Don't be like, I want this, or you have to respect that, even though they do. But you can be like, there's something that I would like if you respected, and this is my boundary, and I would appreciate if you respected it. Be clear about it and bring it up when you need to, or just bring it up anytime. Yeah. Jinx. Just be careful with who you surround yourself with, and recognize the negative and positive people in your life, or negative and positive situations. Yeah,
that's good. And if you're feeling pressure in school, to you teenagers that,
or people in college,
people like if you have friends that are doing things that they shouldn't be at their age, or drinking, doing drugs, anything like that, it is okay for you to set that boundary and say, you know what, I want to be a teacher when I grow up. And if I do this crap, I'm not going to be able to be a teacher one day. Or whatever the situation may be, just because other people are doing it doesn't make it necessary for you to. So be aware of that and set your boundaries so that you can keep yourself safe and protected, and allow yourself to be in control when manipulators do come into your life, because it happens, whether it's as a kid, as an adult, it happens. Manipulation is very common. So we hope that this will help you be more aware of the types of manipulation that can happen and give you some tools to protect yourself from those manipulations that can happen. Anytime you guys have any suggestions, anytime you have any comments, questions, anything like that, please message us on Instagram or on the Facebook page for Mama Bear Connects. We also have our email that is mamabearconnects@gmail.com. So reach out to us if you guys have topic suggestions, anything. We're happy to do what we can to bring our experience from our lives into different topics and discuss them with each other. So we appreciate you guys. We totally love doing this. We are just so grateful for our listeners and for the opportunity to share our knowledge and our experience with everyone across the world. We just so appreciate that. Is there anything else you want to share, Ed?
That everyone's awesome.
Okay, well, thank you guys so much for listening. Have an awesome rest of your day or night.
Bye.
See ya.